This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Bryan Driscoll, and I'm here with Benson Juarez. What's going on, Benson?
Not much, Brian. Just hanging out, buddy, grinding.
Nice. Hey, glad you're able to come on. Benson's got some awesome software. Hey, Benson, why don't you give a little background on what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of it is tied to like my background. So I was in the military in 2001 after 9/11. I was spending a lot of time doing research on real estate investing. So I was buying like Rich Dad Poor Dad books, and I was listening to like Carlton Sheets and reading, book like Robert Allen. And I was just learning a ton there. And I got really interested in the space. And so as that developed, I started to actually put myself in that space. So I got a job slinging mortgages. I got licensed as a real estate agent, started doing my own deals, fix and flip, buy and hold. And by the late 2000s, right around the last downturn in the market, when things just took a crash, we realized that we were doing everything manually. And so this business is really difficult to scale and have kind of meaningful success with some traction if everything's done manually. So this is kind of the beginning of us thinking about, well, what kind of automation could we put into the business so we can work with more clients, we can find more deals for ourselves, and we can have better data so we make faster decisions and actually even do stuff outside our local market, which wasn't available then. And so my business partner, Scott Fall, and I were in the same real estate office, and that's when the idea of Privy was born. When we were thinking, okay, we need a better way of doing real estate, whether it's from a wholesale perspective, fix and flip, or a real estate agent, even buy and hold investors, you need a better way of doing it. And so we've evolved the company for many, many years. When we first built it, we didn't even intend on selling it. It was just going to be something that we used in our own company to help us scale and be more successful. And then, it started to get some legs. We were getting data contracts with local MLSs. We were getting the best data from all different markets. And then pretty soon we're like, well, this is a real business. We can do something with this. So now, as of last summer, we're nationwide with multiple sources of data, including direct to MLS data, which nobody's doing right now, especially on the scale that we are. There's some really, like local markets. And that is the difference. That could be literally the difference between you making and losing money or winning in this business or failing. Because with bad data, you make bad decisions, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. So, and yeah, you're so true. And especially, because there aren't tools really linked directly to MLS. Most people don't get access to that information other than agents, right?
It's true. It's true.
Yes.
And so the way that we've been able to structure our contracts, where we've created a platform that is kind of a balanced ecosystem where agents and investors can live in harmony. It's a great place to do that because we're providing value to both. And MLSs really want to make sure that their data is properly managed and that their constituents, which are agents, are taken care of. And so we've got a system where agents and investors can collaborate. And, at the end of the day, agents can get business, investors can get houses, and everyone is making money and being successful.
Cool. So yeah, because like me, I'm not an agent, so I normally wouldn't even get access to that data. So that's really cool. So now, what exactly does Privy offer? Like, so it's a software. We get access to the MLS. Like, what else? Like, from an investor standpoint, what all can it do for you?
Well, to be clear too, you're not getting access to the MLS. It's a direct data feed, raw data feed from MLS sources. So you're not getting access to someone's listing database where you can actually go in and see private information. It's select info that they push out to vendors like us so we can create a product that is needed in the marketplace.
Right. Yeah, I should have been clear on that. Yeah, because we don't get direct access.
Well, it's important to note too, because there's a bunch of misconceptions out there about what that even means. There's this other subset, which is called third-party listing data, which is an aggregated data source that it comes from places like ListSource or other major providers like we have. And that data is just not as good as what we have. Now, we also have that, but that is the data that we're actually layering on top of the MLS, the direct to MLS on top of that. So we get even more rich data. But if you're in a rural area in Northwest Montana, like we may never actually have direct to MLS. But we want to have it on all the major areas, major cities, second tier cities, even like third tier cities like Mobile, Alabama, right? Like which we plan on being in every major city. And so it's kind of a slow roll, but it's because we've been so product focused and because we've been working on like having the best UI and the best data and the best contracts with the data that's most valuable, we've grown a little slower than some of our competitors. But now it's to the point now where we've dug a huge moat around our business because of the quality of the data we have. And we know that there are other players in this space that have lost their data and have put them at a big disadvantage and left their users, wholesalers, agents, and fix and flippers kind of just hanging out in the wind, trying to figure this thing out. And so that was kind of something that we didn't 100% anticipate, but we knew that it was worth the time and the money and the effort to go and do it the hard way.
Yeah. And that's good. Yeah. Because the quality of data is what really matters.
It is.
So you're going to be able to walk us through a demo, right?
Yeah, I am. One of the things I want to set up real quick is that as we were kind of building this data set, we had a sense of what we wanted to do. And that was make sure that our users had the best data to be able to run comps, analyze deals, and get some market data, right? But what happened was it actually just kind of took an organic form of its own, where once we got the data and we started to kind of manipulate it and run algorithms on it, like some really cool things started to happen. And we came across this concept of called investor activity, where we're able to extract actual investor activity out of markets, putting together different pieces of data so we can see what investors are actually having success with. And so many investors, especially newer people who are getting started in the business, they get thrown in because they saw some video on YouTube, or one of the traveling circus came through town and is going to have a weekend seminar on how to get rich in real estate. And now they're all excited. And then they go in and they learn some proprietary system where they can get off market leads for no money. And then now all of a sudden that person's a professional marketer. So they're doing cold calling and skip tracing, and they're knocking on doors and bandit signs and all this kind of advertising. And they don't really learn the real estate side of the business, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it, right? So this is why I believe the majority of investors and wholesalers fail, is because they're focusing on the wrong things without going in and building a strong foundation and understanding of what does a deal even look like. So many investors are just marketing. They're focused on lead gen that they don't learn the real estate side of the business. So if they get lucky and they get a lead or a deal, they look at it and they don't know what to do with it. Is this a deal? Is it not a deal? What strategy do I use? Does this make sense as a fix and flip? Should I wholesale it? Maybe it's creative deal structure or an Airbnb. They don't know. And so what they end up doing is submitting these extremely low ball offers with large buffers in the price so that the numbers will work if they can somehow get this thing accepted. And they have to, it's a numbers game, right? So they're submitting all these low ball offers. And this is why wholesalers also have a bad rap, is because they're not learning the real estate side of the business and they're just focusing on marketing, throwing out low ball offers, wasting everyone's time. And then people wonder why, wholesalers are getting a bad rap. And there's these initiatives nationwide in multiple states, Illinois, Oklahoma, Philadelphia, where you now have to be licensed to participate in wholesale transactions because they're so fearful that a wholesaler is acting like a real estate agent and inserting themselves into a real estate transaction where the participants, maybe it's a seller or a buyer, are going to get screwed over in some way because the wholesaler just doesn't know what they're doing. And so with that data that we've been able to extract, we are teaching our users how to be better informed, more educated, more prepared to operate in this business from a data perspective, where they actually know like what a deal is in Atlanta versus Dallas versus Portland versus Philadelphia, because it's all different. And so instead of using universal formulas that's going to cause them to submit lowball offers or to pass up on deals that could actually make them money, we're going to show them, okay, if you're targeting this market, here's the last 10 flips that just happened, the last 10 deals, and that is representative of what a successful deal looks like. So with that data, you can actually become more, an expert, a local market expert, and be able to make better decisions on offer and understanding construction costs, timelines, and then you can actually see what drives value by looking at photos, which is really cool. Because most of the time in these platforms that have been out before, you're working with Google Street Views, or if you've got any photos at all, or it's just spreadsheets or lists Excel spreadsheets. So let me go ahead and show you kind of how it works.
All right, cool. And that's interesting too. Like even me, I'm semi-experienced in the real estate space, but I only invest in my zip code because I know it. So this allows you to go into different areas and make educated decisions because every area has different margins, different things like that. Some areas are hot.
It really does. And there's other things to gather. Can you see my screen, Bryan?
I can.
There's other things you can gather from that data besides just the market intelligence, where the rubber meets the road kind of data, where you can understand what a deal is. You know who the players are too, because this isn't a business where you can operate in a vacuum. Like you have to work with buyers if you're wholesaling. If you need an agent, if you're doing on-market deals, if you're doing anything remote, virtual, which even just a few years ago was a completely foreign concept to a lot of people, you needed to have boots on the ground. So we're able to show you who are the movers and shakers in these markets, so you can start to build a network that you can work with there that will help you succeed, instead of kind of doing things the old-fashioned way, which is, you meet someone at the local RIA or you meet somebody on Facebook, and nobody really knows if any of those people are actually active or doing deals. But with the market level data, we can show you, this buyer just closed a deal yesterday. This real estate agent has participated in 10 fix and flip transactions in the last month. Like that kind of stuff can really raise your game and allow you to, again, make better decisions based off the data.
100%. And anyone listening on audio, hop on to YouTube when you get a chance too, because you'll be able to see Benson's actually giving us a video walkthrough. So you can listen now and you'll get some of it, but hop on to YouTube or our website and you'll be able to see the actual video walking through visually.
Yeah, and I'll do my best to kind of describe what we're looking at here, so that those people that are on 100% audio, but that's a great point, Bryan. Go check the video out, or we've got some other videos that are accessible that they can watch on their own time. But what you're looking at is a coverage map here. So we've color coded and made it visually engaging to be able to see, number one, our data sources. So I told you about our data sources before. So we've got nationwide, public record data, off-market leads, distressed seller situations like foreclosures, absentee owners, vacancies, tired landlords, kind of like what the competition has, right? It's kind of a certain level of stuff that just most people just have because it's cheap, and people can get it. And then you have a kind of a second tier of data, which is that third-party listing data, which allows you to kind of see active listings. And then you can use our data, like our sold data, to comp properties out, get different statuses and such. And that also is nationwide. But again, where we stepped it up is in these blue and red areas on the map, where we've already gone and negotiated direct to MLS data contracts. And we've got that raw feed coming in. So it's much more rich, the data is. Photos, good property descriptions. It's updated several times per hour in most markets. And again, that data can really make the difference between you getting a deal or not getting a deal. And so what we can do is we teach our people, like, okay, listen, if you're in a crappy market, like maybe you live in Casper, Wyoming, and that that's where someone would go look for deals because that's what's convenient. That's what's familiar. And they think that kind of information is going to help them be more successful. And it's just not. It may help you get to work faster when there's a traffic jam and you have to figure out where the back roads are at, but that's not going to help you do a deal, right? It's a different level of convenience and familiarity that isn't going to translate into you understanding the local real estate market. And then even if you did, what we know from the data is that there's no investor activity there. So at the top right here, we have got this easy bar. And a lot of the strategies that people use in this business are driven by ARV, or after repair value. So someone measures how good a deal is by the percentage of ARV. The lower the percentage, the better the deal. The ARV is what it's going to be worth after it's fixed up. And so even someone who's doing kind of like straight, purchasing property as a landlord, for example, everybody wants a discount, and they measure it normally based off of a percentage of ARV. So regardless of your exit strategy, we'll be able to execute that. And I actually tell people that we are exit strategy agnostic. Whatever it is that you want, we can help you get there. All right. Now, I mentioned to you investor activity. So this is a heat map. What you're seeing on the map here is these bubbles in different, aggregates of deals that have been done. And this is representative of all the fix and flips that have happened in the last 12 months where they purchased it, fixed it up, and sold it, at least at 75% of the ARV. So it went up in value a good amount. In some markets, I'm seeing people that are doing deals at like 75, 80, 82 to 3% of the ARV. And that's not even including construction costs. And so knowing that makes me way better prepared and informed about that local market. And I can make a deal work there that 99.9% of other people would pass up on because they don't know that level of data. So first thing is you want to go and market. Number one, if you're spending money on off-market marketing, especially because, you, for example, you teach digital marketing, right? Digital marketing will be way more effective in Indianapolis than it will be in Casper, Wyoming, or Sioux Falls, Nebraska, or I'm sorry, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, because of the local market conditions. They could spend a lot of money. They might find a couple people. If there is not investor activity in the market, you literally cannot prove ARV, or after repair value. You can prove value because there's going to be sales activity, but the sales, if those sales are non-repaired, you can't prove after repair value. So instead of forcing that to happen and or having to submit lowball offers to get those margins to work, just do business someplace else. So you can create segments, right, with digital marketing using zip codes, right? So you can basically use this market level data to have a more effective digital marketing campaign as well, so that you're getting a better ROI, where it's, instead of blanketing Nebraska and South Dakota, you're going to areas where the values are driven by fix and flip activity. So I use this analogy, Bryan. Get a scale from 1 to 10. I've got my hands up. Okay, for those that are on audio. Over here is what the maximum allowable offer is to make all the costs and the middle work, the profit, realtor fees, everything. And right here is 10. So it goes from 0 to 10. This is my market level after repair values. Okay. It's a sliding scale. You got higher values, you can submit a higher offer. You got lower values, you have to submit a lowball offer. So when you're in a high investor activity area with large concentrations of blue in numbers, everything shifts. So now all the values in that neighborhood are driven by fix and flip activity. I can submit a lot higher offer, which is going to help me get more of my offers accepted. I'm going to be able to actually do more on-market deals, which is another misconception that there's no on-market deals. The majority of deals are on-market based off the data. So you can do more on-market deals too. But again, the opposite's true. You're in an area like Sioux Falls, everything gets pushed down. You have to submit lowball offers that are less likely to get accepted. And then if you happen to get something under contract there, who are you going to sell it to? Buyer-wise, there's no fix and flippers there. So you have no buyers either. So you can solve a lot of the problems that face investors and wholesalers by using this strategy here. And we actually have a patent pending on it. We call it the reverse REI strategy, or comparative search. But basically, you begin with the end in mind. You probably heard of the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? The second habit is that you begin with the end in mind. And it is even more important, I believe, in this market, because if you're thinking 10 steps down the road about what your preferred outcome is, and then you back it up and reverse engineer it, you can put a better strategy together and a better foundation on where to go and do deals and understand that local market, because you've got that local market education that is extracted from the data.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting too. Yeah, because like I know in the digital side, we get some guys that want to do national wholesaling, virtual stuff, right? And a lot of times they come back and like, you know what? I get a whole bunch of leads and we lock them down and we can't sell them. So data like this would show you, hey, exclude those places from the marketing because there's a very low likelihood, even if you lock something up, that you can turn around and find a buyer for it.
100%. You're absolutely right. And so when we were looking at the map before, you could see there was a lot less activity in kind of the middle, right? So Denver, northern Texas, not including Dallas, and going north to Montana, South Dakota. Things picked up a little bit on the West Coast, still not quite as active, but when you get to the Midwest and the East Coast, it really starts to get blue, right? And you're seeing a lot of high numbers. So this is where I believe that the majority of investors can have more success in getting deals done. And we actually have a goal of lowering the success rates of investors in general. Now, I know we can't touch every investor out there, but for the ones that we do touch, if they use this strategy, they're not going to burn out as fast. They're going to get more deals. They're not going to have to spend as much money and effort and time. They can actually do this and have some meaningful success. And so maybe we can get that down below 90% and then get into the 80s for the people who are failing, right? That's how high the numbers are. So let's dig into one of these markets here. So, we see markets like Chicago. Look at that, 2,800 deals in the last 12 months. Indianapolis, 2,000 deals. Cleveland's got 1,600. Down in like Charlotte, 2,300. But look where it kind of jumps up over here. Right around Philadelphia, 5,100 deals. Now, this is not Philly proper. This is representative of that area. So it crosses over into like southern New Jersey. But let's go ahead and zoom in on here. And then we're going to get this local market data and become an expert in minutes rather than years. So we're getting a little bit closer. This data is breaking up. And now we can see like right in here is a really hot pocket, right? Would you agree with me?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So
everywhere else is like 10 and 20, and that's 150, 200.
It is, right? And so even within Philadelphia, there's a decision to make. If I live in Havertown over here, which is a suburb of Philly, do I want to look for deals there? No, you don't. Drive a little bit further if you do happen to live here, and you're going to go drive for dollars in Drexel Hill, because if you find something, you're going to be able to, you make a way better offer and make the numbers work. So right in here. So I'm going to use my drawing tool. I'm just going to isolate this. So you can visually see where this is on the map. What it also does is it isolates it so we can see the individual transactions and start to get that local market education that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get it from a guru. You can't get it from a book or a podcast or any sort of publication or education source out there that will teach you this local market education. In the past, you could only get it by going out there and doing it or relying on an agent. And we know how agents are. They fake it till they make it. They'll say they're investor focused so they can get your business. But even agents, unfortunately, don't really understand the investment side of the coin. But this is the real education. So right over here on the left is those transactions. So this is basically a filter that was baked into that one button. And then now I'm opening up the property in this report form right here. And this is a comparative market analysis. This is something that might take me a couple hours to build as an experienced agent with access to MLS data. But our system is building one of these for every single property in the US 24/7 in a fraction of a second. And in our direct to MLS markets, you're seeing the real-time sold data. Here we've got good rental data. So if you're building a portfolio of properties as rentals, or you're doing the BRRRR approach in a kind of a fix and flip and buy and hold hybrid, then you got that good data as well. And then we scroll down below that and we've got the before and after. So this is really valuable to see, because in a situation where everybody loves kind of like those fix and flip shows, we kind of joke about it. We call them real estate porn. This is like real data. These are real deals that are being done. There's no actors or contrived situations. It's all compacted into 30 minutes. We can see here that this property was purchased from the MLS for $152,000. They fixed it up and sold it for $263,000. That percentage of ARV was 58%. Great local data, local market data that you can add into your your database. And then you can see over here on the right, like the after photos. So this is the old photo. It was just probably a foreclosure or something. If this was an off-market acquisition, we would just show the street view. And then right here, we can see what they did to it. So we can understand what kind of level of construction is adequate for the neighborhood, what kind of materials they used. Is this an area where you have to do like high-end renovation with, sub-zero freezer and, huge granite islands and custom cabinets? Or is it an area you can get away with a rental grade rehab and still make money? Because you never want to overbuild or underbuild, because you'll end up leaving money on the table. And so this is kind of a mid-level kind of deal, right? Now, we go down below that, we see timelines. So it was under construction for 85 days, 39 days on market. That's valuable info for the fix and flip type people who are using this information to make decisions, because they're factoring in the cost of money. And if they think that a project's going to take 60 days and it ends up taking 9, well, we've got some data there that might help them foresee that. For wholesalers, this is great marketing info. So you can put this in like your marketing on disposition side and inform your buyers of like what are some of the local market conditions, so they can see that information. And it is as much value in information data that a wholesaler can provide to their buyers list, the more valuable they are. And the more that assignment fee is going to be, non-negotiable, right? Because a lot of wholesalers think that assignment fee is 100% based on the margins that are available in the deal. It's also based on how much value you bring as a service provider. And if you're crappy at wholesaling and you're just putting in, minimal data, maybe you got just an estimated ARV with no comps, no timelines or additional photos, like you're not helping out the young buyer too much. So the more information you can provide to them, the more valuable you are to them, and the less likely they are to beat you up on price and your assignment fee.
You know what? That's really interesting stuff too. Like on this particular one, like showing that it went from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom, and the pictures, you're so right, because like even if I'm remodeling a property, it's like, okay, do we need to go with top end granite countertops, things like that? Like this place has an $800 fridge, just like one of the white fridges I'd use at a rental property. Mm-hmm. Versus, some places you got to go spend $2-3 grand on a fridge. So if you can know that stuff ahead of time, you can kind of project your repair costs.
100%. It's a huge advantage because people do what they would want to live in or what they saw on TV because they don't know any other way. But you really need to nail like where the local market is and where the bar has been set. Because if you make a mistake there, that again could be the difference between you making money and losing money.
Right.
Here's another house that just closed on Rundle Avenue. This one was purchased at 34%, right from the MLS. They didn't have to go and do cold calling or knock on doors or, pay for a mailing campaign on, or, like a yellow letter campaign. They got it for 110, sold it for 325. Absolutely insane. Now, the other cool thing is you can kind of see, again, in the construction period, we got the transaction information. So this was purchased by Seda Investment Group, LLC. So this is the flipper. This is how you build a more strategic buyers list. So you said before, Bryan, like people get a deal remotely and they have no buyers. Well, the best way to build a buyers list isn't to go to Facebook in the Philadelphia area and look for a Facebook group that's for investing and then make a post that says, hey, where's my Philadelphia buyers? And, you might get a dozen emails from people who are like, oh yeah, I'm a buyer. Maybe 90% of them are actually other wholesalers who are just trying to get in the middle of a daisy chain deal. With this, they're an actual investor who has the funds, the experience, they have the ability to execute and close deals. And they're looking for other deals because they just closed this one, right? So this is how you build that like high value buyers list, but with additional data, right? Because number one, what they're willing to pay percentage of ARV wise. I talked to a real estate coach who has a whole module on how to teach people to go in and bring up transactions and go in and calculate the percentage of ARV so that they can learn what a local buyer is willing to pay. And I showed him my software and he's like, holy crap. Like, I've been teaching people to do this manually for 5 years and you guys just do it like that. His head almost exploded. And he's like, nobody else was even teaching this. I was the only one that was teaching it, and you actually have it in your software. It's a really big thing because this one's kind of a no-brainer. Like everybody would buy it at 34%. But what about the guy that we just saw that was at 58%? Or maybe we come across somebody else who's at 65 or 70%. Then it's like, oh, wow, that buyer, maybe it's State Investment again, is way more important to me than somebody who is consistently only buying it in the 30s or 40s. Because this is where all the competition is at these levels. That's where everybody's kind of going in and fighting for deals, and it's hard to win the bid. But if you operate in an area where it might be a little bit higher than what people would typically consider to be a deal for a wholesale deal, and you know that buyers are buying at 75 or 80% on certain markets, and you can get something at 70% for somebody who's doing it at 70, well, that's a deal that you can put the numbers together on where everybody else would pass up on it. And it's all because you understand that local market data.
Yeah.
The other thing that's cool about this too is if you are doing something remote and you're using this reverse REI strategy so you can do deals in these remote markets, well, you need boots on the ground. Who's going to help you do these deals? So you want an investor-focused agent. Well, every agent that you talk to is going to tell you they're investor-focused, right? They're going to just tell you, they're going to fake it till they make it. You know, they're going to pull out their business card and there's going to be 20 different certifications on the bottom. You know, I'm a buyer specialist. I'm a foreclosure specialist. I'm a listing specialist. And when you know that, you know they're not a specialist at anything, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. Well, we don't want that. We want people that are actually doing deals. And you know who's doing deals is this person from Keller Williams, Dante Barton. Dante Barton was attached to this transaction. They likely represented them when they bought it. Most fix and flippers will list the agent that bought the house for them to list it because they're often looking for a discount on the back end anyway. And so Dante is probably investor focused. So he's somebody I would want to reach out to and connect with in Philadelphia if I needed boots on the ground there, because he's going to understand the local area better. He's going to know buyers, right? He's got a buyer right here. The company that just did this, Sada Investment Group. You know, Dante can introduce you to Sada Investment Group because Sada is their client. So with the data, you can connect all the dots and just make this way more streamlined and less kind of like high level theoretical, more like nuts and bolts and like this is how you do the business.
Yeah, this is cool. Now I don't know, can your software look up do you have to look them up individually, or can it look up in bulk who's doing the most deals also in the areas?
Well, we do have filters. Well, this right here, for example, just to kind of transition to that conversation, you're talking about lists, right? So this buyer's list right here, you can export this. So right here, there's a little download button. You can export it into a CSV file, and it's going to export the subject information, subject property information, the owner information, and the mailing address of the owner. With that info, you can skip trace it to get contact info, or at least you got mailing address. So if you were just going to do a mailing campaign through the USPS, you could do that right from that exported list. But what a lot of people are doing is taking this and then exporting it, skip tracing it, and then they're calling these buyers to, you know, have that discussion about, you know, what they're looking for. You can also enter the address of any property you want to run comps on just by entering the address right here, and it'll build a comparative market analysis, same as you're seeing right here. And then we also have a bulk upload feature in this list section. So if you wanted to upload a spreadsheet of properties that you acquired from another source, like the county, or maybe you bought it from somebody else who had, you know, extra leads, you can analyze all those properties in seconds just by simply using our comping algorithms by uploading those. And it's really, really powerful to be able to do that. So the next step here is, okay, well, let's say I want to do some off-market marketing. Well, if I wanted to create a list of motivated sellers, well, I pop up the filter here, which was basically, this one was what was set to go and look for that investor activity. But if I wanted to get actual, say, vacants or absentee owners, then I could switch this over to a vacant absentee owner stack list. And then I can go and export this and create a list that will actually update. So if you save any search in our system, it will update you live when there's new matches. And where that really gets really interesting as well is for on-market deals, which I'll show you here in a second. But I can go ahead and I can export this real simply, or actually run the search first. So there's quite a few matches here. And then I can export that list to be able to go and track those leads as well. So you can find the buyers, which some people call cash buyers. Who cares where the money comes from if they're buying property? Most of the people who are buying real estate aren't paying with cash, they're getting loans, right? That's what we want. So I always mention that because so many people are saying cash buyers when it's like you want buyers. You just want them to have access to cash, right? So you can create this list right here, and then you can go and skip trace it, market to it, do whatever you do. And then is there deals that I can buy today that are right in this zone? So I'm going to restart this investor activity sequence because it's all stacked in an algorithm. So I'm going to first show you the investor activity in here again. What that does is it pops up this green button. So this little green button is so powerful. It's made our users, millions of dollars, because what it does is it takes these properties here that are deals in Philadelphia, and it uses those as a model. And then we recreate or reverse engineer what a deal is in Philadelphia, because it's not the same as what a deal is in Atlanta. And then we search for those, find them, and then we look for those at a discount from the ask price of the home to the actual price of the comparables that are live today. So I'm going to click this one button. And now Privy went in and it ran comps on all the properties in this area. And now it's only showing us properties that match our deal criteria. So here's a property that just came on the market. It's $109,000, absentee owner. It's owned free and clear. It's owned by an LLC. They've owned it for longer than 10 years, right? All valuable information to know. We've got those tags on there. And then you can scroll down here and then we can see the comparables. So based off the comps right here, we've got a lot of sales activity, right? There's a lot of similar homes. The more data you see, the more similar these houses are. Lots of rental data as well. And then we can look at the comparables here. So see down here in the comp section, there's all these properties have before and after data. This is kind of the whole goal of using the reverse RA strategy, is to put our property that we're looking for and researching in the middle of all this activity. So understanding comping and after repair value takes some time. It's more of an art than it is a science. But we can really simplify that for beginners or people who are starting new in another market by just showing you what the last 3 fix and flips just sold for. These last 3 fix and flips went for 169, 160, 165. Our ARV on this house is 167, right? It makes it really simple, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to going and forcing a deal in, the middle of Pennsylvania where no one's doing deals and there's no fix and flips. You can't determine ARV. It really streamlines the process and takes the guesswork out of it. So this property that's on market right now at asking price is about 67% of the ARV. That's a great deal, right? That is a great deal that you could potentially turn into a wholesale. Now, this one here, depending on the condition of the home, may or may not make sense for all the buyers that are in that area, because if there's a tree growing through the middle of it, then you're going to have to get lower than this. But even at asking price, you don't even have to negotiate much lower than this and kind of get yourself out of the competition for it. You could basically go in at asking price. Now, with a little bit more research, I guarantee you I could find a buyer who bought something at 71 or 72% in this area, and I can get this at 67%. So I got a margin there, right? I got a margin there that will help me put a deal together. So that's just one example. There's a bunch here that look like they could be potential deals. And so as the algorithm is running, it is just, check this one out. It's $19,000. And then we look at the local comparables. We sort by distance here. The closest sold comparable for this house just sold for $214. Like, insane. These deals are out there. You just need a better, more automated way of finding them. And most people are doing things the old-fashioned way and not really getting any meaningful success because they don't understand their local markets. They don't understand the markets that they may have to get out of their own backyard and go do deals someplace else so they can actually succeed. I got people every single day that are like, oh, I've got to find stuff in my own backyard. And they just keep banging their head against the wall over and over and over again. And then they don't do a deal. This can help them avoid all of that.
Yeah, and especially how fast you're able to do this too. You're able to take that, like, looking this stuff up, you're able to do it in minutes versus hours. Like that's insane.
Minutes versus hours, but also how fast identifying a deal. Right. Like a lot of the people that I know that are in the business, like they may submit like an offer a week, thinking that's going to be something they can build a business on. But that means they found one deal a week if they're submitting one offer, right? With this, you could submit 30 offers a day in multiple markets because there's deals like this in every market. And I showed you that map before with respect to investor activity. These hot areas are all over the place. You just want to make sure you're putting yourself in the best situation to be able to get the buyers, get the best data, investor activity, using our reverse REI strategy so that you can find highly discounted deals every single day, whether they're on market, off market. Doesn't matter if you're wholesaling, fix and flipping, buy and hold. It's all there for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. So if anyone's interested in checking it out and signing up, like, where do they go?
Well, I'm going to show them real quickly an offer. So I put together an offer for you. And this will allow them to go and register. And I'll give you the links and everything that you can post.
Okay, cool.
All right, 1 second here. All right, cool. So basically what I'm going to put together for you is, and I'm not going to go through the whole promo. If somebody wants to kind of dig deeper here, our software is normally $97 a month to month. So over 12 months, it'd be $1,164. I put together a bundled package that includes our 1 full year of Privy access, our Privy Master membership, which basically gets you all the markets. You don't have to pay separately for different areas like a lot of other companies do. And it's also grandfathered pricing. Our pricing has gone up consistently year over year. You get the VIP onboarding and support. So you basically get 1 hour with me where I help you create and save all your searches, help you review your strategy so that everybody can get off on the right foot. And then I save your searches so that the very next day you got stuff showing up in your inbox. I give you a buyer's list nationwide that I've been building for about 8 years that has contact information. So that gets you again going. And then for those of you that are looking to do rehab, I got a rehab guidebook that one of my friends put together, Ryan Garcilazo from Chicago. And it teaches you basically how to manage a complete construction project. So all that bundled together, it would be $930 for the year. And all of our plans come with a 30-day money back guarantee.
Nice.
Now the website, if they want to contact me, so my email is benson@teamprivy.com. Our number here in the office is 720-815-0034. And the website is getprivynow.com.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, everyone, we'll have this in the show notes too. Anyone who's interested in checking that, this is a really cool software. It's a lot of good data there. It can help you get some extra deals.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fun, man. I really love where we're at right now because the market's changing. It's evolving quickly. You know, I didn't talk about it much, but you've heard about the institutional buyers. You know, the Blackstones, the BlackRocks, the Imitation Homes, the Open Doors, OfferPads. Right now, they're buying about one out of every 5 properties in the whole U.S. That's before anybody ever gets an opportunity in them. They're gone. And by the end of this year, it's predicted it'll be 1 out of every 4. will be purchased. So it just keep going up and up and up. And they've got really deep pockets. Their motivations are different than yours. They're backed by Wall Street, and they've got really effective data automation algorithms to be able to do this. And so we basically have built an institutional level tool that the average investor and wholesaler can use to be competitive. And if they keep doing things the old fashioned way, sooner or later, they're going to be out of the business. It's just going to be so competitive. So this is a way that people can actually get an edge and get access to the data they need.
Yeah, this is cool. Hey, well, thanks for coming on, Benson. Yeah, everyone check this out again. Yeah, it's getprivynow.com and phone number 720-815-0034. Yeah, thanks, Benson. Yeah, thanks for coming on. This is good stuff.
Yeah, man, it's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. And again, if anybody has any questions, just reach out. I've been in the business for a long time. Even if you're not ready for Privy just yet, that's okay. I can help you get on the right path.
All right. Hey, and thanks everyone for listening. Yeah, get out there and close some deals.